If your door check stopped working and you need to hold the door open, easy solution is a little block of wood. Just remember it's there or you're going to have a really bad day. On this episode of my continuing series on my two-door Cherokee, we do the blower motor, which I've had a lot of problems with, and also the alarm. It's an aftermarket code alarm. We're going to be taking it out. Something I almost forgot to mention, anytime you're working with electrical components on a car, you run a high risk of damaging the car or setting things on fire. If you are not confident or competent in what you're doing, seek out professional help. This video is for entertainment purposes only. So we're in the interior of my two-door Cherokee, and the radio display stopped working.
Game one.
And one of the main things I've been needing to fix for quite a while is the blower motor. Because it's nothing. Oh crap. And it blows junk everywhere. First thing I'm going to do is put a new resistor in, because that's likely what's causing the speed issues. And while I'm in here, because this controller's up under the passenger floorboard, I'm going to see if I have any access to the blower motor and try to clean it out. I might have to go in through the front, which is not going to be as much fun, but we will see. This is the cover you have to remove. That's the easy access bolt. The other one's hiding over here. I got the hard to remove bolt out first. The little 8mm headed fasteners. Should just be able to pull this down and free. Maybe not. There's a lot of debris falling out. So it's just a little pressure. It does come out. Gotta be careful. There's a clip here. There we go. There's an electrical connector tied to it, so I'll pop that off. And normally you wouldn't have to pull this off to change out the resistor, but what I'll show you in a minute is why I am pulling it off, because I'm gonna need some access in this area. Oh, but these are all leaves packed into this blower case, so I'm gonna have to clean all this out. I'm gonna clean what I can out from under here. Like I said, I might have to go up, pull the cowl panel, and vacuum down and through. That's a big part of why I'm having so much trouble. It's still going to need the resistor for the speed control, but those leaves are making everything a real problem. I'm going to go ahead and take the connector off and pull this so I can actually also vacuum inside here. Should be a little release. I'm going to pull this release tab out first. You can press the little tang, which I'll show you in a second, and pull it out. Pull this back, and you can press this release. These are also little 8mm headed fasteners. Look at all the dirt coming out of here. I'm going to have my work cut out for me on cleaning this out, I think. Oh yeah. That's the resistor. And it's going to be yet another episode of me vacuuming for hours on end. All the leaves that I can see, I'm going to actually pull the cowl panel and try to vacuum down and through, because that's where they all came in from. This will be a good demonstration on how to take these older style wipers off that do not fold all the way up. There's a release tab right here. I'll get you in there and show you how to do it. You fold the arm up. Once you have the arm up, you take a screwdriver or a flat bladed object and you pull this tab up. You don't have to push very hard. Normally, if you do, you want to be gentle. You let the arm down to release the tension, and then you wiggle off the shaft. The shaft is splined. The inside of the wiper arm is splined as well. On the Cherokees, there's a series of screws along the cowl panel. We'll pull those off, and then I can pull the cowl panel that'll allow me to vacuum over there. Once you have the screws out, You lift the cowl panel up out from under the seal, and then you gently take it up and off. Once you take it up, you're going to want to remove the hose for the washer nozzle, which is right under here. It comes through right here. Just pull it gently and it'll come off. There's one screw hiding here that I always forget. Same thing, you want to take the washer nozzle off the squirter. These cowl panels are normally one piece, but the hood flew up on this Jeep and broke the cowl panel. That's why it's in two sections. Basically sheared it right in half and broke some of the other components on it as well. You can see the witness marks from the hood coming up on this side, on the hood itself in the center, and on the driver's side. Installation is the reverse of this assembly. Connect your washer tubes. I'm going to slide this broken piece back in the cowl panel. You want to make sure to get the cowl panel underneath the windshield seal. Cowl panel's on, washers are connected, got good clearance on the hood line, so I should be able to put the wipers on. So when putting this style of wiper arm back on, you want to try to line it up evenly with the other wiper, of course, but you also want to try to line it up about where it would sit on the windshield line. If you leave the windshield dirty, you'll have an idea of where to put it back on. I cleaned it, unfortunately. But basically, you just wiggle it in place. Once you think you're happy with the placement, pull the arm up, push the tab down, and your wiper arm is back on. Now that everything's been cleaned out, wiper arms are back on, we can go ahead and move back in the interior. This is our old resistor. You can see it has quite a bit of rust, but also having the leaves and debris in there could have actually been a fire hazard, because I believe this coil heats up and moves. It's definitely dangerous. Now let's compare it to the new one, make sure it's the right part. It looks right, so I will get to installing it. It should only fit in one way with the way it's shaped. Oh, and I'm not farting. It's a rubber mat. Reinstall the electrical connector and push that clip in. I'm going to test it before I put the lower panel on. The display and the radio started working, and as you can hopefully hear, the blower motor now works in more than one speed, but there's still junk left in it. We'll go back underneath and see if that flapper has more debris in it. Maybe I can hold it open and turn it up and let it blow everything out. So my plan to try to get to the leaves is to pull the resistor out, not disconnect it, put it somewhere where hopefully I can't start a fire if that's even possible. Crank this sucker on high and stick the big shop vac I have in here and just try to suck everything out. Give it a shot. This bad boy was smoking just some little bit of debris from just the initial startup when I put it in there. You got to be extremely careful. And then my 4-door Cherokee, just to use it as a point of reference for the noise level. Now we're back in the 2-door to see what difference we can hear. There's definitely still some schmutz or stuff in the blower case. I'm going to vacuum it out once or twice more and see if I can get it cleaned up. I'm going to try a little compressed air, see if that helps at all. Turn the unit over and see if it helps. It's actually working right. Well, let's give it another check. Man, that was a lot of work, but it's the same as my other one that doesn't have any issues, so. Win! After all the cleaning I did, still more junk kept coming out. So just kept cleaning and use the air and vacuum, and still be very cautious if you ever decide you want to try and do this, because it is dangerous. You do have a risk of fire. So having re-cleaned the system out, I think it's finally done. I'm going to throw the cover on, bolt it up, and hopefully we're done. Put that back in there. Get the easy one started. Yeah, this corner wasn't much fun. Part of the reason I did not pull the blower motor is that the AC system is under pressure. I don't have a way to draw this down or refill it. I don't have the tools for it, and I don't want to spend the money. So this was the most cost-effective way of trying to get this done with what I had on hand. It has an aftermarket code alarm, and it freaks out and won't stop freaking out. I can still start the vehicle, but it will not stop having a hissy fit. I changed the batteries in both my remotes that I have from the key fob, and nothing's working. The transponder receiver also came down, so it just made it easier to go ahead and take it out. I'm not sure what else to do, and I'm having trouble finding any real specs on it to troubleshoot it. So it's removal time. Step 1, disconnect the battery. Start by getting the screws off the knee shield here. Get the inner knee shield out. Now the fun part is going to be figuring out where they cut in the alarm and removing it without damaging any other components. Start cutting away some of these loose zip ties and try to figure out where they cut it in. Oh, might be a bypass switch, I'm not sure. That'd be handy. Here's the alarm control box. Pieces in the system appear to be good. And they got stuff cut in everywhere. I really hate it when they do stuff like this. Go ahead and pull our panel trim piece here to try to give me a little more access to some of the wiring. These are much more complicated to take out if they're in good shape. This one is not. I just pulled the tape off this. This is part of the connection for the alarm. It's not even soldered in place. It's just wrapped around the wiring. This is definitely coming off. I'm going to go ahead and take this ground wire connection off. Then I'm going to wrap each one of these in electrical tape. There's our poorly done ground wire. Our first part of the alarm is off. The next wire I know goes to the alarm is the same way. It's just simply wrapped around the wiring. I pulled the tape off of it. This is our main harness of the column. I've separated all the wires that appear to be for the alarm. Pulled the tape off these as well. Wrap them individually for the time being until I know I've got everything off, and I'll come back through and do a more permanent covering. I don't want any of the wiring exposed. Got the main part of the harness for the alarm disassembled or removed. Now I'm going to find where all these ancillary wires are and go after them. This black one goes through the firewall. Trace that down after I get this last one off right here. Other than the antenna and this black wire going into the firewall, everything is disconnected from our alarm box. I'm going to go ahead and snip this and pull the alarm antenna off and up and through. Now we're going to pull our antenna cable out. There we go. And this is our last wire that's connected to anything. It ends up going through the firewall, so we're going to pick this up on the other side. This is our single wire running through the firewall bulkhead connector grommet. So I'm going to trace it up. And it apparently goes nowhere. That's fantastic. Guess I'll see what I can do to figure that out and I'll be back. From the looks of the wire itself, it's been torn off or whatever it's connected to for a little while. I can't identify anything this would have been connected to. I'm going to go ahead and snip off the zip ties, pull it back through, and we'll make sure we can start the car. So it's pulled through the firewall. I'm going to get it all the way freed up around the strange way it was wrapped up. Let's see if she starts. Yep. Good. Check out trying to get some liquid electrical tape. If I can't, I'm going to double wrap everything, wrap the harnesses together, clean it all up. I'll throw the knee shield back on, the trim, and we should be done with this part of the project. No dice on getting liquid electrical tape locally. So I went ahead and double wrapped everything. Go ahead and put this back together as best I can and hit it with electrical tape. Put the trim panel on. Just clicks into these spots on either side. Garbage truck's here. And that's our last trim panel, which is great because my battery's about to die. There's the complete alarm assembly removed from the vehicle. If you decide to undertake something like this, make sure that you're very careful and you have at least some basic knowledge of automotive electrical. You can do a lot of damage to a vehicle if you do the wrong thing. You can also damage other components. You can cause fires. There's a lot of things that can happen. If you're unsure or uncomfortable, always seek out a qualified professional that you trust. This is also not the way to steal a car. Just throwing it out there. Neither the blower motor resistor nor the alarm are inherently dangerous electrically. Almost everybody has one in their car. Neglect, poor installation, and poor maintenance can cause problems. You always want to be careful, and you always want to keep your vehicle in good running condition. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching the video. See you next time. Since we have it out, I figured we'd look under the hood. There's another fuse in here. I never would have even looked for that, and probably any owner wouldn't either, because the way this was in, it was in backwards, so you never would have seen this panel.